Hello, you're welcome to iTech Pro 163. This is Cisco Certified Cyber Ops Associate, understanding Cisco cybersecurity operations fundamentals. CBR Ops 200-201. We are looking at utilizing batch commands, and I want you to get ready to dive deep into hands-on lab experience where we will crack professional exam questions together. This session is all about mastering the skills you need to excel with detailed explanations and step-by-step guidance. Don't just study, understand, practice, and conquer the toughest challenges to boost your confidence and to ace your exam. We are going to be looking at utilizing batch commands, and our focus will be on managing file permissions. I want you to understand this before we go into our lab, that Linux operating system has 10 letters in the permissions field. In the permissions field, it has 10 letters, just what we have here. The first field always specify the kind of file, whether it's a directory file, whether it's just an ordinary file or configuration file. So whatever we get in there from the first show what kind of file it is. Then followed by the second to the first field stands for the user's permissions. In Linux environment, we have 3 accounts. So every file on the Linux environment will always have a permissions for these 3 accounts. So the user, the group, and the others. From the second to the fourth field, which is the permissions, these are the fields for the permissions of the users. So as we can see here, that as this directory file is concerned, which is the student files, means that this is the name of the file. The user has read, write, and execute. Those permissions are read, write, execute, read, write, execute. And then the 5th to the 7th field is the permissions for the group. And then the 8th to the 10th field is the permissions for others. So as this particular directory file is concerned, so it means that the group and the others have no permissions to write on this directory. Okay, that's why we're seeing a dash here and dash on the others. Alright, so those are the 3 accounts and the 3 permissions, which is read, write, and execute. Let's quickly look at these questions, and then we can use it for our lab to try this, and we can change the permissions. Okay, so an engineer has created a bash script to automate a complicated process. During this script execution, these errors occur. Permission denied. Which command must be added to execute this script? Okay, so what command are we going to add to execute the script? Alright, so this will take us to our lab. Now, I want you to understand that, to change our permissions, to add to a permission, we use chmod. Okay, so coming to our lab here now. So this is our lab. Right, so I will first of all list what we have in this directory. Okay, so let me list what we have in this directory, and we do that by using ls-l. So the -l, so it's going to list all the files we have in this directory with their permissions. So ls-l. I press enter. Now, as we can see that we have this particular file, just like what we have in our question, es.sh. It's a script file. Okay. Now, looking at what we have here, the permissions we have here, we have read, write for the user. So the user does not have the X, that's the execution permissions, and more reason why it was not able to run the script. Okay, so now let me go to where we have the script. Now, looking at here now, I have the script here. So what I will do now is to let me click on it now. Okay, then I can copy this script, the path to this script, so that I can run it from the terminal. Okay, so go to the terminal now, and then so let's try to run the script. So paste here. So this is the path to the script. So you can see home, analyst, lab support files, script /es.sh. So that's just the path to where I have that script. So let me try to run it now, and then what do we get? So we can see that we are getting permission denied, just like what we have in the question. Alright, so what do we do? How can we be able to run the script? That is what the question is asking us. which command must be added. And if you can see, when I listed these permissions that we have with these files, here now you can see that we have read and write, but there is no X here to execute the file. More reason why we are getting this particular permission denied in order to run the script, because there is no permissions for the user to execute this particular file. So now, how do we change it so that what command can be added for us to be able to execute it? Okay, so we use this change mode, chmod. Okay, then we add plus. That's anytime we need to add any of these permission, either read or write or execute. So we use plus. Okay, we can always, if you don't want to, if you don't want to add those permissions to the three accounts together, then you need to first of all put either U to stand for the user, for the user's account. If it is for the group, you put G plus, and then if it's you need to remove, you use minus R minus W minus X. But in this case, we need to add the execution permissions to that file. So more reason why we are adding plus X. Okay, so if you want to follow what we have, then it will be, if you want to follow what we have in the question, so which we are the options that we have in the question, we have plus X. Okay, so that one will actually going to add that execution to the three accounts together. So that means if you are not specifying either U to stand for the user, or G to stand for the group, or the O to stand for the others, you just put plus X. So it means that you are adding that execution to the three accounts. Okay, so that's what we have in this case. So plus X, and then followed by the file name. So what we have here is es.sh. Okay, so now I will enter this now. Okay, now so can we list again with the permissions? So let's list with our permissions that we have and see maybe there's a changes to what we have before. Okay, now I have this now. So if you look at ex now, so look at it, you can see now the user now have read, write, execute, and then the others, the other have read and execute, then group at the same time have read and execute. So let's see whether we can be able to run the script this time around. So we try to run the script now again. Now it's asking me for a password compared to what we have before. All right, so we can see that we are able to execute the script this time around. So because we have already had execution to the file, that's why we are able to run the script. Our best answer is A. So, and I believe that we can be able to do this next time, and then we'll also be able to know why we are having that permission denied, and we can know how to make changes to those permissions. All right, so we said the best answer to this is A. That will take us to our next question. An information security officer identified that the logs file of a Linux-based web server that contains sensitive information currently allows a network administrator's user full privilege, including write and execute access. In accordance with the company's security policy, the security officer must reduce the file privileges to user read, group read, write, execute, and no permissions for others. Which batch commands must the security officer use to meet this requirement? Okay, so let me quickly explain one or two things as regards this, then we can be able to make a good justice to the questions. All right, so the other way for us to assign a permissions beside the using symbolic permissions is the use of absolute permissions. So the one we did before happened to be the symbolic permission, whereby we can have U and then plus X or G, which stand for the group, plus or minus any of those permissions. Those are symbolic permissions. Okay, so these absolute permissions use 3 digits octal numbers to represent the permissions for the owner, for the group and others. Okay, so we have the owner account, which happens to be the user, then the group and the others. Looking at the table we have below, it outlines each absolute values and its corresponding permissions. So if any of these accounts, user accounts, have 7 of these absolute digital numbers, means that the user, the account has read, write, execute. And if you have 6, it means it has read and write. So just like that, then if it is 5, it stands for the read and execute, and then 4 means read. Okay, just like that. Okay, so I will explain this further using these 3 octal value equivalent. Okay, so I have these 3 equivalent values. Okay, so let's say we have 3 permissions, so which is the first one means read, and followed by write, and then I have what? Execute. Now, so I can express the binary conversions of these 3 permissions octal value. So like 2, so we'll say that this x stands for 2 raised to power 0. Then for the write we have 2 raised to power 1, and then for the read is 2 raised to power 2. Okay, now 2 raised to power 0 will give you 1, and 2 raised to power 1 will give you 2. Then 2 raised to power 2 will give me 4. Now, so this 4 stand for the read, and then 2 stand for the write, and then the 1 stand for the execute. So in our absolute permission, so this is how come about the digital value that we have 7, 6, and 4, and these are binary equivalent to that. So just like we have the binary placement that I just expressed here. So like here now, that if you have each of these values to turn on, like 1 here, 1 here, so this 1 stand for 4, and then where we have the in our binaries we have zeros and 1. So if we have zeros, it means that that particular value is not concerned with to make up that particular value. Okay, so if I have, like here I have 1 1 1, means that addition of 4 plus 2 plus 1 will give me 7, just like what we have here, 1 1 1. So and then this one here, the one which is happen to be the 4 here, means that it stands for the read, and that's why we have read, and another one stands for the write, and then the x stand here. So let's, like this case that we have 6 here, so it shows that we have 1 1 0, you get, which is 4 plus 2 will give me 6, and that's why we have 6 for the group. Okay, so here means that read and write, and nothing for the what? Execute. That's why we have 1 1 0. So this is read, write, and nothing for execute, and this is just only read. You get, so that's what we have here, just only read. I just explained. Now, like here now that we type, so if we type this change mode 764, okay, so this 7 is standing for the user account, and this 6 is standing for the group account, and then this 4 is standing for the others. Okay, so that is what we have here. So we always use, so the absolute permission is that you are going to give any of these equivalent values to each of the user accounts together, like that, and then by expressing them from 0 to 7, you get, and then we should know what all this stand for. So that's why I try to explain it like this, so that we can get the binary conversions and the binary equivalent and the digital equivalent and the permissions for each of these equivalent values. All right, so and this will take us back to our question now. So coming back to our questions, so as we can see that our focus is here now. They say in accordance with the company's security policy, the security officer must reduce the file privilege. Now they say user read. Now you know that we have read and the write and execute. So we have these 3. So and here we have, and what we have in our place values is 4 2 and 1. Those are what we just did there before. Now if you have 4 2 1, and they say okay, read, so which read is 4, do you get? And you know that the way is arranged is user first, followed by the group, the way the permissions are being arranged, followed by others. Okay, so if they say user should be read only, so read is just 4, so which means this is going to be 4. Okay, and then for the group, so the group, they say the group should have read, write, and execute, so which means it's going to have read, write, and execute, which is 4 plus 2 plus 1, which is going to be 7. Okay, and then others Others say no permissions for others. No permission, so that's going to be 0. So our best answer is A. Okay, as we can see here, we have answers to be A. Alright, I want to thank you for viewing. I want you to like this, comment, make comment, share, subscribe, and thank you for watching.